My name is Eddie Ladd. It's not my real name. My real name is Gwennydd Owen, but I changed my Welsh name into an English name because it was cooler at the time. I'm from Wales. I'm a Welsh speaker. Most of my work, although I didn't know it from quite early on, is to do with, Welsh identity and colonisation more than anything else, and that's something that the whole understands. The pieces that I'm doing at the moment, and which are alive at the moment, and which I remembered how to do physically at the moment. One of them is called Cof y Corff, Muscle Memory. It has two titles because there are two languages in Wales, Welsh and English, and it's very much about the interaction of the two cultures. What the piece decides to do, it's quite a normal theatre piece. There's text and music and mediated imagery in it. But what it decides to do is look at Welsh history in a very physical way, and it decides to do that through using movement analysis, the Laban kind, which I know a little bit about, not an awful lot. And so it looks at different periods in Welsh history.
It's almost like you're using the Laban analysis paradigm to depict certain metaphors of oppression.
Yeah, conditions and metaphors for oppression. Yeah, I'm not saying it's completely literal, but it's a way.
That's what I got from your presentation.
But it's a way of kind of moving your way through Welsh history. And feeling it kind of down by here. It's not a kind of intellectual process. I think that's pretty much all there is to say about that, except that I call it a solo for 7 people, because there are 3 technicians in it. There are 3 people on stage because there's a cameraman and a cable basher with me, and then there's also a narrator in it, and we can do the show in pretty much any language. So far we've done it in Welsh and English, French and Spanish.
Is the show already opened?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a show that was made in I think about 2006, and it's had a few appearances in Wales and abroad since then. Well, there's only me as the dancer.
Oh, there's only you as the dancer. Okay, great.
Yeah. So he's with me, and so's the man who helps him not fall over the cable all the time. Yeah, but he has 5 cameras to deal with, so he moves, between a 2-camera setup on a dolly to an overhead camera to a handheld camera and a camera on a jib.
And those images then are broadcast and put in monitors.
They're sent first of all into the video mixer, which sends the live feed into the computer. That puts the backgrounds and the live feed together, and then it's sent out onto the monitors. And
the audience kind of sits in front of monitors. That's interesting.
Right. No, they do. Yeah, they sit in front of monitors. So they're kind of, they're looking at this. When you see fiction and TV, when you see reality, it's just a bit nicer than reality. So the idea is I'm making the material on stage, because the material is translated by the camera, and you have to make movement that's appropriate for camera but works in open space at the same time.
And people, how you say, we're going to be looking up and down.
They tend to do this kind of strange breaststroke. I think they do that. Also, they have the text in their ears. Because,
with headphones?
With headphones. So it's very quiet and it's very intimate. But they have a big sound score then out in the space itself. So they hear the sound score, but they hear the text very, very close to those. So it's really forward in the mix.
Oh wow! And so that has been a way for you combining this kind of narrative world in a way that. Yeah. And how do you then depict the Laban or through your own movements or the choreographic part?
Through my own movements, I looked at each period, whether it's 1256 or 1865 or 2007, and thought, what can you say about this period? So in some periods we were saying that it's a period which is about shaping in planes, which is quite a healthy, position to be in, means you're active in the world. Some periods about horizontal movement when, all hope has been lost, So there's lots of descriptions of that kind of thing, but we always say what the historical context is. You don't have to guess or anything. The whole point is that you understand, of course they're shaping in planes, they're getting on with it, you've got all that sort of information here. It doesn't happen, I don't hardly speak in the show. I explain 1 or 2 things to the audience, but I don't move and talk at the same time generally. So what we have is the narrator does the speaking kind of, not on my behalf. He carries the intellectual weight of the show. But so what I do is then I fit with him, and sometimes the rhythm of the text will affect the movement as much as the character of that scene does.
But could you tell me a little bit more about that history that is fascinating, of that speaking in Wales was forbidden?
Yeah, I suppose Welsh is regarded as, it depends who you are, is regarded as an indulgence. Sometimes it's regarded as a bit pathetic, or sort of a secret code in order that English people can't hear or don't understand what's going on. But the idea, what we have to realise is that Welsh was the majority language of Wales right up until the middle of the 19th century. Which is an extraordinary state of affairs. You didn't have to negotiate between the two. Welsh people were monoglots, English people were monoglot. But then sort of from the middle of the 19th century onwards, there was quite a lot, of course, of immigration as well, but it wasn't integrated into Welsh life anymore because of the suppression of the Welsh language through the education system.
And how is that now?
You're just growing up. Yeah, in some parts of Wales, it's actually it's actually demanded. People actually want to speak it, and ironically, of course, it's now through the schools that the Welsh language is experiencing a revival. Yeah, because it's not being taught actively within the curriculum. So now the battle really is to make it a social language. That's what I'm thinking about at the moment. I mean, I really don't know. Because that subject obsesses me so much, colonisation, I think it's such a real thing in the world that I know that, I'm always going to have to address it in some sort of way. But I don't want to sort of hammer away at it so that people think, oh, here comes the girl who's colonised.
There comes again, But you're going to have a lot of material.
Yes, you can hear a lot of material. And actually it's material that's recognised all over the world. Never mind the detail. The actual shapes of what I produce are recognised all over the world. What comes next, I am going to do a sound piece, and I am going to work with sensors and all sorts of more biological, physical stuff. But I think this, because I was born into this condition, right? And I only just started noticing what the condition was about 15 years ago. So I think it's going to be with me for some time, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And this very interesting work. And I love your presentation that you dance and you sat there. And and it's a reminder. I think it's a good reminder of our how we have to be aware of the processes of oppression come from everywhere. Even from dance inside. How do you see that, by the way? That sometimes in dance in itself becomes, I see it like this way of colonizing your body in a way with certain kinds of training.
I think I'm stuck with I'm not trained, so I copy contemporary dance. You know what I mean? So that in a way is one of it becomes one of the more conservative forms as well. So in a way, maybe my next thing should be to think of things that can break that form. But that is a colonizing of the body through, the sort of. Those are the dominant discourses really in contemporary dance. Kind of like, taking on the smart language, the smart language of contemporary dance. So you think, well, then, I must try and, you try and copy and look good in that. So, but then you think, well, actually, that might be complete distraction if you're trying to break it,
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And could you say goodbye in Welsh?
Well, because it's evening here, diolch am wylio.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much.